There is a strange kind of battle that plays out quietly in the mind. A conversation starts, a small disagreement appears, and suddenly it feels less like two humans talking and more like a court case. Arguments line up like witnesses. Past conversations are pulled in as evidence. The goal is no longer to understand, but to win. And if this feels uncomfortably familiar, it might be worth asking a simple question. How much energy is being spent trying to be right, instead of trying to be at peace? Modern culture quietly trains people to worship one thing: correctness. The smartest wins. The one with the last word wins. The one with the sharpest argument, the best comeback, the most facts on their side, wins. But there is a cost that most never calculate. Before diving into that cost, a small invitation. If deep, honest reflections like this are part of an inner growth journey, subscribing to this space keeps these conversations close for the days when the mind is loud and the heart wants something calmer to lean on. Think about how often ordinary moments turn into silent trials. Someone disagrees over something small. A memory, a detail in a story, a definition of a word. Within seconds, an internal courtroom wakes up. In that courtroom, there is a judge, a defense lawyer, a prosecutor, and a nervous witness, all played by the same mind. The judge says, "If you are wrong about this, what else are you wrong about?" The defense lawyer gathers evidence, pulling out old screenshots, conversations, times you were right before. The prosecutor whispers, "If you lose this, they'll respect you less. You'll look stupid." And the witness, the quieter, more vulnerable part, just feels tight in the chest and scared of being seen as less. On the surface, it is just a disagreement. Underneath, it feels like identity is on trial. That is the hidden cost of always needing to be right. Every small disagreement begins to carry the weight of self-worth. The body notices. Heart rate rises. Shoulders tense. The voice gets slightly louder or slightly colder. The mind starts rehearsing comebacks while the other person is still speaking. The goal shifts from what is true here to how do I not lose here? In a world of comment sections, group chats, and instant replies, this internal courtroom can be open 24/7. A stranger online disagrees, and suddenly it feels like a personal attack. A relative at a family dinner says, "I see it differently," and the nervous system responds like a threat just walked into the room. The biological drive for status, that old animal instinct to avoid looking weak in front of the tribe, quietly takes over. The brain gets tricked. It treats every conversation as a status contest, not a shared search for reality. The irony is painful. The more energy is used defending the image of being right, the less energy is available to actually learn anything. Inside, there is often an almost constant preparation. Before a conversation even starts, a kind of rehearsal begins. If they say this, I'll say that. If they bring up this point, I'll counter with that one. I'll prove I'm not the one at fault. I'll prove I'm not the one who misunderstood. The mind becomes less like an open field and more like a courtroom file room. Everything is organized, but only to support one outcome. I was right. This performance of intelligence is not the same as intelligence. Real intelligence is flexible. It can say, "I didn't know that," without collapsing. It can say, "You're right, I missed that," without feeling humiliated. It is curious more than it is defensive. Performative intelligence, on the other hand, is rigid. It has no room for new information that challenges the current self-image. It confuses being wrong with being unworthy. The problem is not having opinions. The problem is tying self-worth to those opinions. When self-worth is tied to being right, the mind cannot allow itself to update. New information is threatening. Other perspectives are threatening. Even silence can feel threatening, because it feels like losing the last word. Underneath, there is usually a quieter fear. If I am wrong, will I still be respected? Will I still be safe? Will I still be loved? True maturity begins exactly where that question is finally faced. There is a moment, sometimes after yet another exhausting argument that solved nothing, when a simple truth appears. Winning feels empty. Winning an argument does not automatically repair a relationship. It does not automatically soothe the nervous system. It does not automatically create connection. In fact, the more someone prioritizes victory over vulnerability, the more alone they often feel. This is where a shift becomes possible, from defending the ego to exploring the truth. The word for that shift is intellectual humility. It sounds academic, but it is actually very human. Intellectual humility is the ability to hold an opinion and still be open to the possibility of being wrong. It is the ability to say, this is what seems true right now, based on what I know. But I am willing to update if reality shows me something different. It doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean abandoning all conviction. It means no longer using being right as an emotional shield. Imagine seeing a change of mind not as defeat, but as a software update. Phones update, computers update, apps update. No one calls a phone stupid because it installed a better version of itself. In the same way, a belief system that can update in response to better information is not weak. It is alive. Humility is not the opposite of intelligence. It is how intelligence grows. There is also another quiet benefit. When the need to be right relaxes, so does the anxiety of being found out. Many people live with a background fear that someone will expose their ignorance, find a flaw in their argument, prove them wrong in public. This fear can create over-explaining, over-arguing, and an inability to say, I don't know. Letting go of the need to always be right dissolves much of that fear. If being wrong is allowed, there is nothing to expose. Somewhere around this point in the journey, it might be useful to notice something. If this description feels a little too accurate, a small, quiet subscribe to this channel keeps these kinds of reminders near for the next time the internal courtroom starts warming up. Because beyond personal peace, something else changes when the armor of correctness is put down: connection. Being around someone who always needs to be right feels like walking on eggshells. There is no safe space to share confusion, doubt, or different perspectives. The focus is on defending positions, not understanding experience. But being around someone who can say, you might be right, or I hadn't seen it that way, or I need to think about this, feels very different. It feels safe. Relinquishing the need to win every argument creates an invisible permission slip for others. Permission to be honest, to be wrong, to be unsure. Listening changes. Instead of listening only to find flaws, there is listening to actually hear. Instead of waiting for a gap to jump in with a counterpoint, there is space to let the other finish completely. Instead of viewing disagreement as a threat, it becomes a chance to see reality from a new angle. Conflict stops being a zero-sum game and starts becoming a collaborative exploration of what is true. It moves from me versus you to us versus the problem. Practically, this looks like small choices. Taking a breath before replying to a message that triggers the urge to argue. Saying, let me think about that, instead of answering immediately just to avoid feeling exposed. Asking, can you explain how you see it, instead of trying to talk someone out of their perspective in the first 30 seconds. Choosing to let a small point go, not because it is unimportant, but because the relationship is more important. None of this means never standing firm. There are values that should be defended, boundaries that need clarity, injustices that deserve strong voices. But there is a difference between defending a value and defending an ego. One feeds life, the other drains it. Over time, a mind that stops needing to be right all the time feels lighter. There is less replaying of conversations at night, trying to find the perfect line that should have been said. Less obsession with whether someone thinks I lost. Less tightness in the chest after discussions. The long-term benefit is simple. Value stops being anchored to opinions. Identity loosens. Instead of, I am the one who is always right, there is, I am the one who is willing to learn. Instead of, I must not be wrong, there is, I am allowed to grow. This shift is the heart of true maturity. Maturity is not being the loudest voice in the room. It is not having the most facts ready. It is not never being challenged. Maturity is being able to sit in a room, hear something that shakes an old belief, feel the discomfort, and still say, thank you. I need to think about that. Maturity is seeing that winning arguments rarely heals wounds. But patience, humility, and the willingness to be wrong sometimes can. If this exploration has touched something that already knew this, somewhere in the background, then this channel is designed for exactly that part of the mind. Subscribing is a small, simple way of keeping a space nearby that values truth over victory, depth over performance, and growth over ego. Liking this video helps it reach others who are exhausted from always needing to be right, but haven't yet had language for what is tiring them. Sharing it with someone who often feels trapped in endless debates can be a gentle way of offering a new way to see maturity. And in the comments, one honest sentence about a time when winning an argument didn't actually make life better can begin a powerful shift for the person who writes it and for the person who reads it and quietly recognizes themselves.